thank you for this introduction. I must say I was really honored to be invited to deliver this presentation at this conference, even though it came a bit like a last-minute invitation. And it's a challenge for me because, well, I get quite nervous when I have to speak in front of a larger audience, which is ironical because I work for the Government Communication Office, which is basically doing the PR and the communication things, etc. Among other things, we are also responsible for the brand management of I Feel Slovenia. First, I would like to start with some basic facts about my country. Yesterday, I was talking to one participant from Mexico, and he told me that he's working in Africa, in Mauritania, and he mentioned that this country is a very young country, independent only since 1960. Well, we are even younger, since we are independent since 1991, and this year we are celebrating the 20th anniversary. Here are some basic facts, like who are the neighboring countries. I didn't put a map on the screen. I just wrote that the neighboring countries are Austria, Italy, Hungary, and Croatia. And for instance, what is also interesting, we are only 2 million. So today and yesterday, many were talking about small countries. And actually, those countries compared to Slovenia are not that small. Regarding the GDP per capita, we are number 30 on the IMF list of countries with a high GDP per capita. Luxembourg being the number 1, USA number 9, Germany number 19. So let's start with nation branding. There are many reasons why country brand is important for Slovenia and why I Feel Slovenia was developed. A strong trademark is the best marketing tool for modern countries faced with increasing competition. Branding is a long-term process in which you have to follow the steps strategically. If you don't have the basement, you cannot build the house. And branding is just the 4th or the 5th floor of that house. So if you don't have the cellar and good fundaments, don't go building the 1st floor or not even the 4th floor. But however, if in case of Slovenia, we ignored this rule when we started developing our brand, I Feel Slovenia. I brought something with me. This is a T-shirt, I Feel Slovenia. It's actually the first T-shirt that was produced in 2005. At that time, this was not a brand. I like this T-shirt, and I wear it quite often. And you can take at least 2 conclusions out of this. Sorry, is it working properly? Yeah. You can take at least 2 conclusions out of this T-shirts. First, the Slovenia brand is still quite young. And the second, obviously, I'm using the right brand of washing powder because the T-shirt is still nice and black. So what was the prehistory of I Feel Slovenia? Slovenia tried many slogans and logo campaigns since the early 80s. However, all attempts to establish the brand had failed completely. In Slovenia, there was a need not only to promote the tourism, but also other industries, exports, culture, sports, etc. Therefore, Slovenia needed not just a destination brand, but also a country brand. So what were our motives to start building a nation brand? We realized that there is a poor recognizability of Slovenia as a country, beyond the neighboring regions, of course. There is a tendency to confuse Slovenia, Slovakia. You know, it's all the same, Austria, Australia, billions, Slovenia, Slovakia. So, and Slovenia has no national symbols recognized abroad, so we don't have like very well-known towns, attractions, commercial brands, national dishes, and drinks. And besides all those things I already mentioned, Slovenian national insignia, flags, and coat of arms are not very recognizable abroad. So how we got started? It was just the right time, for a new brand. The theory of branding developed a lot in the last decade, and there was a general feeling in Slovenia about the brand. It's interesting, let's have it. So the circumstances were there to start with a brand. Like I said before, we just had I Feel Slovenia slogan that was developed without the purpose of becoming a country brand. But because we thought it was a nice idea, we started putting it on T-shirts, baseball caps, etc. The then Prime Minister, which is, by the way, he's on the picture, Mr. Janez Janša, he liked the slogan, and he wore a baseball cap with a slogan. What was noticed in the Slovenian media, and public started talking about it. And when we saw the great majority of Slovenian media talking very, very positive about the brand, so let's say the slogan, we said, okay, let's go for it. Let's have the I Feel Slovenia brand with love bolded in the name of the country. And so we started building the brand. The process of branding. In 2006, Slovenian Ministry of Economy was given a budget of 200,000 euros for the project to create a brand that would represent Slovenia abroad. The ministry hired a full-range communication agency, a Slovenian agency, to create a brand from the slogan. This agency also included some external experts to be part of the planning group. The identity could not be developed the usual way, from the bottom up, in case of Slovenia, because the brand name, slogan, was already decided upon. So this planning group used a three-step process to develop a brand identity for I Feel Slovenia. The first step was an open-ended questionnaire among 30 high-ranking representatives from key areas like culture, economy, sports, etc. And then the second part was a questionnaire among 700 other representatives from the same key areas. And the last part was Slovenian public opinion on the brand. For instance, we received the opinions of about 7,000 Slovenians, and they did not state any complaints about the idea of a new country brand. Still, a very important question was being raised. Why is it in English? However, the branding project itself was not questioned. Based on all these results, a brand identity was developed, including a logo. So okay, let's continue. I was certain it was certainly not always done by the book, but important theories on brand identity were applied, and the key stakeholders, including the Slovenian public, were included. This is the graphic about the Slovenian identity that was developed by this planning group. If you see, it's not very well visible, but in the core you can see written Slovenian green. Actually, the Slovenian brand is based on a color, which is quite innovative. And this is not just any green color, it's called Slovenian green. Slovenian green speaks of unspoiled nature and of our dedication to keep it that way. The identity also speaks of Slovenians that excel at perseverance. We put all our energy into everything we do, sometimes even too much. We are active, always moving forward, always gravitating toward things that are dear to us. We do not hide our desire for recognition and like being praised for our work. Alongside family and health, responsibility is one of most cherished values. It's evident with our attitude towards ourselves, toward our fellow humans and the environment. We're bound to the local environment of Slovenia, although we are all individuals. We travel extensively, but don't move too far away from our homeland. We are devoted to everything we do, passionate about what we love and what we feel. One of the questions we have to answer was, what was the right timing to launch the brand? After the brand was created in 2007, the project passed on from the Ministry of Economics to the Government Communication Office. The question is, why was it not given to the Slovenian Tourist Board? Well, one of the main answers would be because other stakeholders would feel that this would again become just a tourism brand, and we didn't want that. So the creation of the brand just finished before the start of the Slovenian EU presidency in the first half of 2008. And the presidency of EU placed us for a great dilemma. All the international attention for Slovenia would create the perfect opportunity to launch a new brand. But it just came a little bit too early. Why is it that? There was already a logo created for the presidency. And we decided it's not a good idea to have two strong brands at the same time. So the choice was made not to launch I Feel Slovenia internationally yet, and we only communicated domestically. So we started spreading a leaflet about the brand to every household in Slovenia to inform and motivate the domestic public about the brand. And through a contest, people were also asked to share their feedback on the brand. The campaign was strengthened by outdoor advertisements for the brand. This is actually a wise idea because, also the internal public has to know what the brand is actually about. What is the Slovenian brand identity? And it was mentioned earlier in other presentations that it's really necessary to speak with united voice. And there's a big difference between the identity of a country and the image of a country. And when Slovenians go abroad, they have to know what is the identity of our country and how can they contribute to the better or more positive image of Slovenia. Communicating the brand. Like the colleague from Kenya mentioned earlier, this is a very expensive process, and you have to have long-term financial resources to be successful in branding. Well, the lack of financial resources for managing the brand is present in Slovenia, regretfully. However, even with small resources, it should be possible to develop a brand as long as there is interest and enthusiasm about the project. A very positive point in the brand management is the way in which the brand manual was developed and is now used. Because according to the manual, no adjustments can be made to the brand, neither the content nor the visual part of the brand. This basically means that translations of the slogan are not allowed. So I'm saying, for instance, that we are using I Feel Slovenia in every country. It doesn't matter whether it's an English-speaking country or is it French-speaking, Spanish-speaking. We just believe that the word love that is unique in our name of the country, this is such a, let's say, well-known word that even those, non-English speaking citizens of different countries should understand it. Yes, so this consistency is also visible in the style of our brochures, the promotional giveaways, and the tourism websites. Like I said, the I Feel Slovenia brand was created as a country brand that would not only represent tourism, but also industry, sports, culture, etc. However, the brand is mostly visible as a destination brand currently, while other sectors are still a bit reserved about using it in their communication. Anyway, this is starting to change, ever since a remarkable and very positive feedback was noticed in the sports world, especially in the time of Winter Olympics in Canada and World Basketball Championship in Turkey last year. So what are we doing at home now? Just last month, we organized a 6-day seminar on Slovenia's branding for representatives of Slovenian institutions in any way involved in promotion of Slovenia abroad. A similar workshop will be prepared in the next weeks for all the ministers, including Prime Minister, other high-ranking representatives for the ministries, and the PR officers. I'll show you some examples of I Feel Slovenia communication campaign, just to give a brief impressions about the country. This was a general ad used for advertising. That's another product ad used for web advertising. It's a banner. This is a campaign. It's called Blizu doma, blizu srca, close to home, close to heart. It was intended for Slovenian tourists, and they were actually invited to spend the holidays at home, not to spend it in any other country that is also connected to the crisis in tourism. This is one of the examples of how we use the I Feel Slovenia manual in organizing events and the visual parts of the event. Some of the posters, for instance, you can see the photos of Piran, the seaside, and here is the other photo is from Postojnska cave, which is, by the way, one of the largest caves in the world, and it's 20 kilometers long, and they have a small train that take you inside, so it's very interesting. Here are some of the examples of the brochures. You can see that even if it's not produced by the, let's say, by the National Tourist Board, it always has to be a place reserved for a sign of I Feel Slovenia. Just the one at the bottom right, it still has the old logo, which was Slovenia with 4 roses. By the way, we have a stand here to the right with some materials about Slovenia, so you're welcome to stop there later on. This is a photo of our Slovenian stand at one of the tourist fairs. Slovenia is also present here at the ITB in Berlin. And here are some of the examples and products that use I Feel Slovenia. For instance, Slovenian Tourist Board has the license to sell I Feel Slovenia souvenirs, for instance, T-shirts, umbrellas, cups, etc. And Pošta Slovenia, that is the national post office, issues the I Feel Slovenia stamps with different motifs every year. A very good ambassador of Slovenia and the brand is a person. And even better, these are, for instance, the sports supporters. This is an example of I Feel Slovenia and football fans. Actually, this picture is taken in front of Wembley, London. And we gave to all the football supporters, we gave them T-shirts with I Feel Slovenia logo. And you can imagine if we have a couple of thousands supporters wearing the same T-shirt, the same color, that it's very visible and effective. This is another example from Vancouver Winter Olympics. Also, all the participants received a promotion package, and so they were all equipped with green color and I Feel Slovenia. Here is maybe not very well visible because it changes the colors, but not only the fans were dressed in green, but also the national team. And it's interesting, that International Olympic Committee doesn't allow the national teams to have any logos, any commercial slogans or anything. So we were in front of a dilemma, or let's say a problem, how to solve it, because we were not allowed to put I Feel Slovenia on the official clothes of the team. So we actually did an interesting thing. We put Slovenia, and we used the same letter as in the logo, and we bolded the name Love, and actually everybody, when they saw an athlete written with this Slovenia, everybody were just like shouting, I Feel Slovenia, yeah. So it was effective. There's one of the tourists holding the I Feel Slovenia. So what can others learn from our experience? Keeping it simple worked well for Slovenia. I told you that we started first using the slogan, and from the slogan we developed a logo. So our slogan and logo are the same thing. To build a brand identity around the color perspective, like I told you, the color perspective of our logo is green, was very innovative. Even with a small budget, 200,000 euros, in the case of I Feel Slovenia, a brand can be created. If there is the willingness of the key stakeholders to cooperate and the fundamentals on which the brand is built are solid, there is no reason why the brand could not become a success. And I rest my case. So, any questions?
Okay, so questions about the I Feel Slovenia campaign. Who would like to go first? Questions or comments, please. Okay, please introduce yourself, Elsa.
Hi, I'm Robert Saunders. I just had a quick question. It seems you sort of touched on it. This really is a sort of tourist-centric brand on the one hand, and also there's benefits in terms of national identity because you reached out so much to the population to see how they felt about it. I was curious, when you were starting to come up with this brand, were you confident in Slovenia's ability to attract foreign direct investment based on its industry profile within the former Soviet Union and also knowledge of it in Italy and some of the other countries, Austria particularly? Was there a push from industry to say, well, no, we want some sort of brand that will reflect Slovenia as a place for business, a place for investment? was that part of the discussion going into the choice of branding?
Thank you for the question. This actually was one of the main reasons why I decided to have a nation brand, because Slovenia is really. Other countries were before they were discussing about the bad media coverage. In Slovenia, we are facing a different problem. We have no media coverage, let's say. So I don't know what is worse, a bad media coverage or no media coverage at all. But our companies actually say that they have problems abroad representing their products because nobody really knows where they're from. And as soon as they got the opportunity to put on their products, for instance, made in EU, many of them did so. And I know one example of, it's called Trimo. Trimo company is very successful, and they are more present in the industrial sector of construction. They had problems, and they actually got less job when they told the foreign partners that they are from Slovenia. So they started saying, we are a European company. And from then on, they even got more business. So that's actually a horrible fact, especially if we come from our own identity. Slovenians we are very proud of our country, and we actually think that we are the best countries possible in the world, which is quite normal. But we are always shocked when the foreigners actually think nothing of Slovenia or never heard of Slovenia or just think it's somewhere in Siberia. So hopefully we will manage with this brand, which of course will manage to improve this image of the country. But of course it takes years. It takes 10 years, even 20 years to develop a brand of a country.
Hello, I'm Sebastian. I did my PhD at the University of Luxembourg, working about advertising and advertising communication. So my question, did I get it right that you said that there is no national symbol in Slovenia? So if there is no national symbol, why can't you construct any?
Yes, I didn't say it's no national symbol of Slovenia. I just said that it's no national symbol that would be well known abroad. So we don't have internationally famous symbols. But when we talk about the national symbol, in Slovenia it's hard to reach a unanimous decision what is or could be the national symbol. So maybe that was why we decided to build something new, and we decided to build our identity and brand on the simple slogan, I feel Slovenia. As according to the theory, you can see that our logo is actually is just a logo. It doesn't have a symbol, so there's no, let's say, no picture or no sketch of any flowers or famous buildings, etc. So it's just the color and the feeling that it's kind of a promise, I feel Slovenia is a promise. So if you come to Slovenia and you'll see what we can have to offer, we hope that you'll go back home and that you will be able to say, I feel Slovenia, I feel the love.
Well, Ms. Mencej, I think you've certainly helped us to not only feel Slovenia, but also to learn how a fascinating campaign with a relatively small budget has had such a lasting effect. So I think in that sense, it's in many ways kind of an inspiration also for the other countries present. So thank you very, very much for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.